This is New Ground with Allen Hopkins Jr. Let's go. And Jalil Anibaba.
And helping us this week, Jalil, to cover New Ground here on Sirius XM FC Channel 157. One of the all-time guys in the league, former U.S. men's national team midfielder, Olympian, World Cupper, former number one overall pick in Major League Soccer. He's been there. He's done that. He's got receipts in this game longer than a trip to CVS. Jalil, helping us cover New Ground this week on the show, is our friend Maurice Edu. Maurice, Mo, how you doing?
I mean, I love that intro. Longer than a receipt at CVS. I'll rock with that.
Real quick. I mean, rookie of the year. We'll get into it. You were a cover athlete for FIFA. Like, you got real receipts in this game, but so glad you could join us this week. We're looking forward to chopping it up about a handful of things. But first and foremost, how's life been? Part of the media, Apple TV, Fox, CBS Sports. You're hogging all the jobs for Jalil, but Jalil's muscling his way in there. But how you enjoyed life on the other side, if you will?
Jalil's doing his thing first and foremost. But no, man, it's fun. Honestly, it's different. It's different than playing, and there's never any replicating playing. But for me, I enjoy this because it's giving back to the game in a different way. It's a different way to, stay connected with your audience that you've built from your playing days, attract a new audience now because you're a different voice and you're lending your voice from a different perspective. Being in stadiums still, it's enjoyable because now I get to enjoy stadiums and that part of the game from a different perspective as well. And it's honestly one of the best parts of it is that it's afforded me a pretty good work-life balance. I got 3 kids now, so the household is always busy. And in a normal week for me, I have the benefit of being able to be home Monday through Friday, travel on a Friday, call a game Saturday, and I'm back home Sunday, right? So like that part of it, I really enjoy because it allows me to be present, be available, be involved with my family while still enjoying and continuing to grow within this media space.
It's amazing, you talk about the work-life balance because I think that's something that can be very difficult to capture in this industry. And you and I have so many conversations about the importance of fatherhood and how much you think about being intentional for showing up for your family and also making sure that you're present wherever you go, whether it's your career life, personal life, family life, you always present wherever you at. And speaking of the present, we're obviously in, an international break, but the MLS playoffs are hot and heavy in terms of what we are focusing on. For you, in that regard, who is the best team in the MLS playoffs still yet to be eliminated, not named Inter Miami?
Oh, well, okay. So, honestly, I would probably say it's one of the LA teams. And this is coming from, I would say Galaxy is the hottest team. I mean, the way that they swept Colorado, they just looked like everything that we believed them to be throughout the course of the season. A team that's so versatile in the attack. I mean, they're bringing Marco Royce off the bench. Like, come on, bro. That's a cheat code in itself. They're better defensively than they started the season off. I would probably say, if you're not saying Miami's going to a third game 3, and they're round 1 of their playoff system. So I would say Galaxy. They took care of business comfortably against Colorado, and they go into this next stage of the playoffs as hot as any team could be right now.
What do you think about LAFC's chances? You mentioned LA Galaxy. LAFC has been right there, neck and neck. Do you think that game 3 of Vancouver is going to be a tricky one when you consider how leaky LAFC has been defensively and how hot the Whitecaps attack seems to be at the right time of the season?
I'll tell you what, game 3 with LAFC and Vancouver is going to be a hell of a game because Vancouver have played this matchup. They played it well, man. They've played confident. They played with personality. They played with the level of fearlessness, both home and away. In game 1, Brian White has that chance early on. If that goes in, who knows what that game looks like? And then when they went to Vancouver, BC plays, like, they showed out. They showed out in a way that they to me, that's the best game they've played, and I'm including the Portland game as well, the Portland playoff game. That's the best game they've played this season, bar none, easily. And it came at the right time, the perfect time. It was a humbling moment for LAFC. So to answer your question, how do I see this game playing out? For LAFC, that better be the wake-up call that they needed, because if that was a clear example of if they're not on point, if they're not at their very best, teams will go at them, will take their chances and get at them. But being at home in front of their 32-52 crowd, and it's hard to bet against LAFC at home in playoffs as well. Under Steve Cherundolo, I think they've only lost, that might have been just the second game they've lost in like 9 games or 10
Correct.
games under him. So I probably lean slightly towards LAFC in that matchup, but I do think the third game is going to be incredible, especially if Vancouver come with that same kind of energy and that same kind of confidence that they showed in the first 2 games.
And you're 100% right that, it's in front of their home fans in their stadium. It's very difficult to bet against them, especially how lethal and potent they are in transition. I just love how they can really flip pretty much any momentum of any game into their favor at the drop of a coin because they're so lethal in transition. And speaking of transitions, we want to slide away from MLS and get into national team, the U.S. men's national team conversation just a little bit. What are your thoughts on the upcoming window, and how do you really frame your thoughts around the fact that the U.S. men's national team is now under new tutelage under Pochettino?
Well, I guess I'll start with Pochettino first and foremost. I like the hire, right? Pochettino, although he coached Tottenham, and I'm an Arsenal fan, I can.
Don't let us get into Arsenal on this segment, please.
Man, there's not enough time. There's not enough time to get into Arsenal. The way
That's another show.
that's a couple shows, man. That's not even just one other show. But no, I like the hire, and honestly speaking, I'll be very candid. I wasn't sure we could attract a manager like him, right? I'm happy to see that we are able to, and it is a job that's attractive to from a global perspective. I'm excited to see what he can do with this group of players. He's a manager that's managed some of the biggest clubs, dealt with some of the biggest personalities, has had success as a player and as a coach. And so for him to now accept this role and the opportunity to lead a host country into a World Cup, a host country where we still believe so much in this group of players, the talent that they have, they're at an age now where they're maturing beyond just being talent now, right? Now they need to be getting into the prime of their careers. And I think you look at 2 of the top players in that group, guys like Christian and Weston, who are seeming to hit their stride at the right time, right? Christian is, dare I say, he's performing at a world-class level right now, right? On a consistent basis. The timing couldn't be more ideal for him to be finding that level of consistency where he's one of the main men on his team. And Weston, it's like every time you try to tell him no, this man says, all right, I'm going to show you why the answer is
right.
Yes. I'm going to show you why I need to be on the pitch, why I need to be starting, why I should get a new contract. So I love to see that from the individual players. I love to see that we have a manager in place that I feel can really steer and guide them in the right direction. Now it's just about execution, because the window of opportunity, the window of time that Pochettino has to get things right and get them firing on all cylinders, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller, which brings us to this window you're talking about. I think we play Jamaica home and away, right? Is that what the 2 games are?
Correct. Yep.
Games that, without being disrespectful to Jamaica, games that we should win, right? We should win these 2 games. And so this would be a great opportunity now to get that winning feeling reinstated into this group. Last window, we had a win and a loss. Obviously, losing to Mexico, it always feels like more than just a loss in that matchup. But yeah, I'm excited for this window. Just another opportunity to see how Pochettino can continue to move this team along this spectrum towards where we think that they can eventually become a top level team.
Apple TV, Fox, and CBS analyst Maurice Edu joining us. One more beat on the national team. 8 windows, including this one. You have the Gold Cup as well. And I was texting the group. I was able to check in on Fulham and Brentford in person this past week. And I was texting the guys how good Jedi Robinson really is. And I told them the only 3 right now that are getting their trip to 26 is Weston, Christian, and Jedi. So when you think about what needs to happen, you think about having less than 10 windows for Pochettino to get his arms around this team and infuse and implement his tactics and culture and all those things. What's the most important thing that you want to see as someone who has represented the U.S. as an Olympian in South Africa in 2010? I mean, if you're still mad at Slovenia, I'm cool with that too. I'm mad about that whole situation still, although the referee might have something else to say. But as a former national team player, what's the most important thing you're looking for? How do you assess this team and this preparation?
Are you asking me in terms of what Pochettino can bring to the team, or just in terms of what's been missing?
I would say, and what's been missing, and is there enough time, in your opinion, to implement or to make sure that what is missing is there for 26?
First, I would say getting guys healthy. Man, like,
right.
It feels like it's been a while since we've had a window where it's been
everyone's available,
stable of players, right? Like, and key guys have been missing. So that's first and foremost, getting guys healthy, getting them back on the pitch. Tyler's back playing now for Bournemouth, made a couple cameo appearances off the bench. That's important for this group. And one of the other things that, and I feel like it's kind of redundant, it's been spoken about a decent amount, but it is something that I think is important, is as much as we want to be a team that's easy on the eye, can play proper football, play out of the bag, do X, Y, and Z. One thing that should never, ever be questioned is the workman-like mentality of playing for the U.S. And I think at times in games that we've lost, that's been maybe one of the biggest criticisms on this group, is that we didn't see that part of it. We didn't see that edge. We didn't see that grit, that grind, to where it doesn't matter even if it's a day where our football isn't at its best, we're not our sharpest, we're not connecting the passes we normally connect. You got to play like hell to get through us. You got to it's going to take something incredibly special to wear us down and break us down. And sometimes that's lost among this group. So, and just kind of hearing some of the things that Pochettino has said in press conferences, or hearing guys speaking about what training's been like, intensity is something that he's constantly emphasizing with this group. Intensity, the work rate of this group, both in and out of possession. So 2 games against Jamaica, a team that has players that are now playing for some decent clubs as well, a team that doesn't ever shy away from the opportunity to play against the U.S. and try to get in their face and implement some of the same things that I'm talking about, that fearlessness, that grit, that intensity. So I'm interested to see if we can put that on full display, in addition to allowing individuals to show the quality that they have. And again, just another opportunity to take a step in the right direction. These are 2 games that are also, was it for Nations League, right? So that has its own importance as well. Winning 2 games that are important because they play a role in a competition as well.
You said something interesting there to me about the grittiness of the team, and when you need to roll up your sleeves and be able to dominate a game from that standpoint. We all know very well that there's always the game within the game, and then the psychological battles that you can win that make getting results either easier for you, or if you don't get on the right end of those maybe psychological smaller wins in the game, it can be very difficult for you to maybe pull yourself out of a hole. My question for you is, in that same vein, some of the best 9s that I ever played for were the ones that made the game just difficult for you. Not always like the physical side, but always making it so as a defender, you're on your back foot. You're always trying to guess what they're going to do and just categorically dominate the game. For you, where do you see the 9 position the U.S. men's national team? Is it where you want it to be, or do you want it to take more dominance when the national team steps out on the pitch?
It's like the question that just keeps coming back, isn't it? And and honestly, that's part of the evolution of this group, but also we would love to have that answer be just as clear as day. And I mean, I think back to my time with the national team, and we played in different systems at times, and at times we played with 2 strikers, but that was a position where for large spells, it was Josie, boom, it's Josie +1, and like, I feel like we're still in an era right now where we keep having this question as to like, who is our best number 9? Is it Flo? Is it Sargent? Is it Ricardo Pepi? Is it someone else who's kind of flown under the radar and is emerging? Brandon Vasquez? Is it him and what he's done in Mexico, right? So these next windows of games, my hope, and I feel like it's everyone's hope, is that that person emerges, that person takes their claim on that position and really says like, and it could be as simple as them just at this point in time, just scoring goals consistently.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. I know we're looking for, okay, who's the guy who's going to connect and link up play? Who's going to do this? I'll take the guy who's going to score goals. I'll take the guy that I know is going to consistently be goal dangerous. That's going to take pressure off of Christian. And if Timothy Way is back healthy and on the pitch, that takes pressure off of them to be the guys who are creating and scoring goals, to know that you always have that 9 who's going to be present, a nuisance in the box. And if they only get 2 chances, maybe they're taking one of those 2 chances, right? And so for Pochettino, I'm sure he has an idea of what his expectations are from that position. It might be different than what Berhalter saw from that position. But ultimately, from taking every other hat off and just wearing a fan's hat, I want to see a guy who's scoring goals. Point blank simple. I want to see a guy who I know is going to consistently be goal dangerous, as you said, a nuisance to defend against, but more than anything else, he's going to be finding the back of the net at a consistent level.
I want to transition a bit into your story in the sense of I'm interested to hear how you think your pathway, if you were coming up today, would be different than when you came up. You're a former number 1 pick in the draft. You went to Maryland. You're actually a Hall of Famer at the University of Maryland. Got to put receipts. I told you the receipts are long.
A lot of receipts are
long, really long, my guy. So you're a Maryland Hall of Famer, enshrined forever. You had an amazing career all over the world. How much do you think your pathway would be different in today's machinery of player development academy as opposed to your journey, which is one that I think is still a model for success for a player?
Oh, yeah, it's funny because I feel like me and some of the other old heads, we spitball with this kind of conversation a decent amount, just like, and not in a bitter way, but more like in a way of giving flowers to the young guys that are coming through and the opportunities that are available to them, and also to celebrate the progression that the game has taken in this country, while still recognizing that there's still more room for improvement. But I mean, my hope is that I would have been involved with an academy, right? Been involved with an academy. And to me, the value of an academy is a proximity to the first team, right? Like when you're a kid and you dream of playing this game, and at times it feels so far away, especially like when I was coming through it, at times that professional level can feel so far away because, like you described, my pathway was playing club soccer in California, going to college playing at club and playing ODP, all that stuff. And then going to college led me to get drafted into MLS and then from there to Europe. Right. So much different pathway than what a lot of players are experiencing now, especially guys that are on the national team. But my hope is that I would have been involved in an academy. And again, the beauty to me is that if you're in an academy, let's say you're in under 14s, right? The guys you aspire to be like in the first team are maybe a few pitches away. Maybe they're training at a later time or they're training at an earlier time. So the opportunity to come in early and see these guys, to see their work habits before they even get on the pitch, to see what they're doing in the gym, to see what they do after training, to see what they eat in the meal room, to watch the individual stuff that they're doing. Like all those little details to me are what's really valuable about an academy. Because just think about that for a second, right? The person that you aspire to be like is within touching distance. That doesn't happen in many walks of life, in any space, right? Like you want to be an entrepreneur. You're not a arm's reach away from Mark Zuckerberg. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen. Right. You want to be the best painter in the world. You're not that. It's hard at times, and dreams can sometimes can feel distant because of that. But so if you're in an academy and you have the opportunity to train with these guys at some point or to watch these guys train, damn, bro, that makes your dream feel that much more real because you can see on a daily basis the guys that you want to be like. And I think that's what I like about the academy system. And that pathway is a little bit more defined for you. And it's an opportunity for you to watch and learn from the guys that you want to take the spot from. So long-winded way of saying, yeah, my hope is that if I was coming up nowadays, I would have been in an academy system, had an opportunity to be in, some proper environments earlier on than maybe I was exposed to through my pathway. And the other part of that is there's a lot more spotlight on on football in this country right now. So whether that's because of generations before me, my generation, this current generation, and the success that they're having both at club and international level, there's a little bit more of a spotlight on American players. And that's great because people are interested in not just this market, but also the talent that it's able to produce.
It's crazy because you talk about proximity and how that can affect the next generation. Because I remember in 2009 when you were on the FIFA cover, Allen talked about it at the top of the segment there. And I was trying to decide which agency I was going to go with and X, Y, and Z. And Rich Moskin called me, and we all know Rich. He was like, buddy, one thing I can tell you is I can get guys on the cover of FIFA. I can do it. So, and I'm seeing a Black Nigerian dude who went to college, who grew up in Cali, not even far at all from where I was born, is living out that dream. But the closest interaction I literally had with you before I met you was seeing you on the cover of FIFA, right? So, but then once I started to get into youth national team setups and like the reality of the dream was becoming nearer and near, you do realize that this ecosystem is extremely small. Once I was in U20 setup and I'm with Freddie Edu and he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated and stuff, I'm like, okay, my confidence just shot through the roof. When was that moment for you when you realized that, wait, the people that I've been seeing either on TV or video game covers or Sports Illustrated covers are dudes that I'm sitting next to in the meal room? And how did that affect your confidence to be able to propel you to the next level?
Man, I would say, so probably like U16, U17, right? When guys started going into residency because like, you're from Cali too. I'm from Cali, and so many guys from California are, whether my club team or just guys that were on our state team, started getting called into residency. And I'm looking like, bro, hold on, wait. I train with these dudes every single day. I play with these dudes on the weekend. And on any given weekend, he's the best player. I'm the best player. He's the best player. I'm the best player. Like, so I know I could play at this level. And now they're getting called into residency. Subsequent years later, a couple of them turned pro like at 18, 19. So I was like, huh. But this is where it also comes in, having parents who kept me humble and kept my focus on my lane, because it's so easy to get influenced or swayed because at that age as well. And that perspective could have easily turned into like, woe is me type feeling. But instead I was like, all right, bet. I know I'm as good as them. That's the first point of that I take away from that. But my pathway is going to be a little bit different, and I'm okay with that. So to answer your question, yeah, I think it was like at that age where I realized, okay, well, these guys are doing it. They've now turned pro. So I know I can play at that level. I know I can play at that level. So maybe I need to just put myself in a position to where more eyeballs, where I'll be seen by different people, or I got to just follow my pathway and control what I can control, which is what I do every single time that I get on the pitch. And at some point, my talent, my ability will be recognized and rewarded. And so just put my head down, follow the path that was laid out for me, and God willing, things, find a way to work themselves out.
Maurice Edu joining us here on New Ground on SiriusXM FC channel 157. Also forgot to mention national champion with the Maryland Terps as well, and had an amazing career. And I remember having a great time when we were the U.S. men's national team playing Scotland at Hampton Park, and being around you and DeMarcus and seeing how much love and respect you had earned at Rangers. And you just mentioned the journey from just playing club ball in Los Angeles and Southern California, which is like one of the epicenters for this game still for young players. When you reflect back on your time in Europe, what do you think about most? And what are the one or two things that you're most proud of your time over there as a first choice player, won league titles, you won cups, you've done all the things that you set out when you went over there. What do you think about when you whack a sort of nostalgia on your time in Europe?
Well, you know what? And let me add to that last question and it'll also answer this question too.
Please.
The other part, so seeing guys turn pro, that was part of it, but then also getting a chance to play with like Bees, right? To play with Bees at the club level, to play with, Gooch and guys like that on the national team level, guys that I grew up seeing, right? I saw Bees play in 2002 World Cup, and then fast forward X amount of years later, we're teammates. And it's like, wait a minute. Like that was, to me, that was dope, right? To see guys that you see yourself in for various reasons, playing at the highest level, playing in the World Cup, representing your country in a World Cup, and then getting a chance to pick their brain on a daily basis, to, explore and ask them questions like, how did you get here, bro? Like, how do I get to where you've been? Like, I want to do the things you've done. How do I get there? So that was another part that helped to really give a different level of motivation and kind of just perspective on how to really explore this game and take it to that next level. What do I reflect on most about Europe? I would say the journey, right? Because it wasn't always just linear. It wasn't just always uphill. You had to earn your stripes. I remember I left Toronto FC and went to Rangers and thought like, oh, okay, bet. I'm one of the first names on the team sheet in Toronto. It's going to be the same thing at Rangers. Like, why would it be any different?
You're right.
Man, yeah.
Were they testing you?
And all honesty, the captain played my position, right? I go into a team where the captain played my position. The guy that played next to him, Pedro Mendes, I think he had just left maybe Portsmouth at the time. So it's like two senior players, good players like that are playing your position. So it's like, yeah, bro, it's not going to be a cakewalk. You got to come in and earn your stripes. And that's humbling, of course, but it's also through adversity is when you grow the most, right? Through moments like that, when you're away from home, you're away from family, it's just you out there and you got to find a way to survive. That's, man, you develop in a different way. And that's what happened to me. So, I mean, what I take the most away from that, it's as a kid, I dreamt of winning trophies. I dreamt of playing in Champions League. I dreamt of eventually representing my country in a World Cup, and all that became possible because, I took that gamble and went over there and tried my luck, tried to find a way to swim or I was going to sink. Right. And so I look back and just every part of the journey, I appreciate the good moments, the bad moments, more the good moments than the bad moments, of course. But like to this day, I still get messages from people about my time at Rangers and just like different moments that resonated with them. And so I look forward to one day being able to take my family, take my kids over there to experience that culture, because that to me was special, to be in an environment where everyone just lives and breathes the game. Like they wake up and that's the first thing they talk about. The last thing they talk about as they're having a pint is that same thing as football. Right. So I look forward to sharing that with my kids one day, letting them just see and experience that. And just in some way share that journey with them via them being there present for it.
Nah, it's amazing what you've been able to accomplish, what you are still accomplishing. But for me, one thing that always kind of comes to light whenever you're on camera or even when you were playing was your style. Not just your approach, but your style. And you're one of those types of dudes where it's like, if when it's real, you ain't got to brag type dude. And you don't really highlight your style that much, but you got sauce, you got swag. Everybody knows that. But you need to put the people on, though. What are some of the top places you be shopping at for your clothes? And then give us a few types of shoes that you are obsessed with right now, because we all know that Mo will bring 2 different suitcases just for shoes.
Same. I'm same.
I'm the same way too, but I maybe got 1 suitcase for shoes. Mo got 2, maybe 2.5.
I mean, honestly, I've toned it down a little bit, man. I live vicariously through my kids nowadays, man. I spend most of my shopping I do most of my shopping via them, like making sure they're fitted. They got all the hot kicks and all stuff like that. But I mean, I feel like my style has always been a little bit of mix and match, right? Like I'm very comfortable with what's comfortable for me. So I can, whether it's dressing down a suit by wearing sneakers or, mixing and matching in terms of a designer shirt with just like some Zara pants or vice versa, or I'm very comfortable just doing what feels comfortable in the moment, especially now that, I'm in this role on TV. I like for my fits to kind of reflect me, and I'm in my dad's stage of life, but at the same time, I'm still trying to maintain. I'm leaning into it while I want to be a cool dad, is what I say.
There you go.
I'm a cool dad, right? So
And you are. Oh my goodness.
And then from a sneaker standpoint, man, that's always been like that's always been a thing. You know that. You both know that, actually. What I'm going with right now? I'm trying to look around what's in the office right now. I still
got shoes in the office. You see? I told y'all.
Shoes in the office. And you don't work at Nike or Adidas.
One of my favorite pairs, and I'm looking at them right now, is those Fragment Travis Scott lows.
Fire.
I for whatever reason, I just love that pair. You know what's probably underrated shoe? Well, it's not even underrated because I feel like a lot of people are wearing them right now, and it's my missus who actually put me on these, is those Sambas, the Adidas Sambas. Like, they've come back in fashion, and like I copped a pair probably about a month ago for the whole fam, and man, they get worn a lot recently. They really do. So I would say
I love it.
Those are the 2 that I'm looking at right now. So go with that.
Oh, Maurice Edu, you've been fantastic. We've had so much fun. We could really have 4 or 5 episodes, probably just on the shoe closet itself and everything else. But we appreciate you stopping by here on New Ground. Jalil and I were really fired up to have you on. And we both have a lot of love and respect for who you are as a person, as a baller, and as a family man. And you are a cool dad. Your kids may not always feel that way, but you can always hit me up and I can put them on game. So thank you for stopping by and joining us here on SiriusXM FC Channel 157. And we'll catch up with you down the road. Hopefully we'll connect at MLS Cup. Certainly you've been grinding hard this year, and appreciate your work ethic and everything you do for the game.
Nah, I appreciate you fellas, man. There's a mutual feeling. Love what you guys are doing, both on camera and off camera. And I'm always here, bro. Anytime y'all need me, give me a shout. I'm with it.
Appreciate you. That is Maurice Edu, Apple TV, Fox, CBS analyst, stopping by and joining us here on New Ground. And we are at that time of the show when we come back here on SiriusXM FC Channel 157. We'll hand out our flowers. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to New Ground on SiriusXM FC.